This is a video for how to go about doing a bottom-up assembly from your wood blocks for your engineering class. In a previous lesson, we have gone through and taken measurements of 4 different types of wood blocks. We have a rectangular prism, we have a triangle, we have a cylinder, and we have this kind of what I'll call a bridge shape, or maybe this kind of little bit of a rectangular prism with a cut out of it. So what we want to do in Fusion is we want to assemble these as if though we were assembling like children's wooden blocks. So to start this out, we are in a new design and it's untitled, and I'm going to go to Save, and I'm going to call this Wood Block Assembly. Now I'm going to hit enter. We'll make sure we go ahead and actually save something before you start assembly, because we're going to be dragging and dropping these items out. And the first item that we are going to drag and drop is going to be the bridge. And I'm just going to click and hold down and just drag this out into a workspace. And it's just like I am taking this block and just setting it on a desk. And I'm going to rotate this the way that I want it to be seen on the desk. So you'll notice when you drag and drop, you have these kind of what I'll call steering wheels that allow you to rotate the object. We're going to rotate this 180 degrees to where it's upright, and you'll notice over here where it says X angle, it says -180. We could have come over here and just put in -180 and hit enter. We're going to go ahead and say OK once we have this resting like this. Now within your browser menu over here on the side, we want to ground this. We don't want this to be able to move. So we want to say we place this on a desk or on a surface, and you have 0 degrees of freedom is what they're called. We want these to not move. So I'm going to right click on bridge and I'm going to go to ground. And you're going to notice when we ground, we see this little red push pin, and I can't drag this and move it. It's going to stay there. It's not going to move at all. So that's how we're going to start out placing our first object. Now our second object that we are going to place is going to be our rectangle. I'm just going to drag that out, and you'll notice once again we have, this object looks kind of tall in comparison. Your objects might look a little different. You might have done a different sized rectangular prism. But once we place this, I want to click and hold down on this middle dot right in here, and I'm just going to drag this off. And I want to rotate this around to where it's facing like this. We did 90 degrees, and in this case we did the Z angle 90 degrees. And notice up here on your view cube, you have Z, you have X, and you have Y. These are the axis lines that they are viewing, and we're going to go ahead and say OK. It's important we have this placed off to the side, because what we're going to do is we're going to be placing this on top of the object using something known as joints. And up here in the assemble menu, you will see the word joint. You can also just hit the letter J as a shortcut on your keyboard. And when I click on joint, you're going to notice that the grounded object looks like it's made out of water, and that's what we are relating objects to. So we're moving the green object onto the blue object. So I'm going to use my view cube, and I want to look on the bottom of my rectangle, and what I want to say is, what corners do I want to line up? So it's as if though I'm looking on the bottom of my rectangular prism, and I'm saying, this corner right here, make sure this is flat face down. I want this corner right here, and I use my view cube, to line up with this corner right here, and it has to be on top of it. You cannot be on the side here. It has to be flat on this surface. So I'm going to click, and you'll notice automatically it kind of pops into place. We could rotate this a little bit. We could have done this a little bit a different way, but just for the sake of the video, I'm just going to say that we're going to place this here. If we rotated this over and did this a little bit differently, maybe it would rest different, but we're just going to leave this here because the main point of the video is to learn about joints and how to assemble things from bottom up. So in this position, we're going to keep the position where it is, and if I go up to motion, you'll notice it's a rigid constraint. And what that means is it's basically snapping something together and it's not supposed to move. If I was going to do like a revolute constraint, it could rotate around an axis. I have no need for this to rotate at all. If we did a slider constraint, it could move up and down along an axis. I don't need it to slide. I can change different axis lines it can slide across. I can do a lot of different things with this. We're just going to go ahead and say OK, because we're going to go back up to rigid. Let's make it a rigid constraint, and let's say OK. So now it's stuck on top, and you'll see now you can see the joints that you've created. You can turn these on and off by clicking on the eyeball next to joint. For the sake of the video, we're going to keep them where they are. Next step, we're going to go ahead and place our cylinder. So I'm going to drag and drop our cylinder out onto the object, and I'm going to click and hold down. I'm going to drag this off to the side as well. And what we want to do for this is, once I say OK, we're going to use the joint constraint again, and I'm going to go up to joint. And underneath the cylinder, I want to use my view cube. I want to go to the center point of the bottom of my cylinder, And what I'll do is I'm going to go on the top of our blue object. Now I could snap here. We can do it several different ways. Just let's go ahead and snap. Let's snap right here, and you're going to notice this could be going into, the rectangular prism. And I don't want that. Obviously, these objects can't magically go inside each other. So what I can do is click and hold down. I want to offset this just a little bit. And notice this says offset X. If you look at your view cube, I'm going to the right or the left in the X direction. Offset Z would go up. So if I look over here and I see offset Z, it's 0.3. I don't want that to offset up any. I want to make sure this rests on here. But I do want to kind of drag this off. Let's go to our top view, just to make sure we're still in the center of the object. And we want to make sure we're not going into this. So if I say, I want this to be close to this but not touching it, I can drag it over, and you're going to see that offset right here. Let's go ahead and say OK. I'm going to click on my house button. So again, you see the joint right here. You can see the other joint here. Next thing we will place is our triangle. So I'm going to drag and drop our triangle out. And you'll notice it's kind of inside the object here, so I'm going to need to click and hold down and drag this over. What's nice about dragging and dropping objects out in a bottom-up assembly is, I can kind of move them around. This is no different than you placing this on your desk. So I have this placed. I'm going to go ahead and say OK. Now, for our joint constraint here, we want another rigid constraint. And I'm going to say, I want these two things to kind of back up to each other. So I want to kind of see the back. Let me come over here to my view cube again. I want to see the back of this. And I'm going to come down here. And this circle you see right here, that right there is the corner that I want to back up to another corner. And I want it to back up here. So I'm going to make sure I kind of get out of the way here, my rigid constraint viewing thing here. And you can see that thing's circular right there. I'm going to click and boom. It lines up. Now if I wanted to offset this in any way, I can offset it forward and back, and I'm going to go ahead and say OK. I'm going to go ahead and come over here and let's turn off the views of our joints, and this is how we can stack this here in Fusion, and we can line up items. And no different than you taking these wood blocks on your desk and say, I want to put this right here just like this. We can do the exact same concept in Fusion. It's no different than setting something up. So let's go up and let's go to our Save button. And we're going to go ahead and say OK. We can see our assembly show up over here in our project folder. And everything works out. So this has been a video for how to go about creating a bottom-up assembly with wood blocks that you created from given dimensions in your engineering class.